Hi, I'm Matt from vHub, and today we have a very special guest. Now, if you're in the heavy duty trucking industry, you want to do more freight, more service, more parts, more revenue. Whatever the business you are in, that's what you're trying to drive. And oftentimes that means looking to subject matter experts when you have a question that you don't know the answer to. And when you're talking about specialization, there are a few folks better than my very special guest, John Radvansky. John is the managing director of JPR Logistics, a full service consulting firm specializing in tankers and hazmat. John also serves as director for Bulk Connection, an ISO certified freight broker that offers reliable, cost effective solutions with specialty in bulk transportation across North America. But before we get to John, check this out. Welcome back. John, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Matt. Really appreciate the opportunity to spend a little time with you here this morning.
I am so excited to talk with you. Now, let me ask you this question. Tell me how you got into bulk and transporting hazmat. I'd love to learn that story.
Okay. Well, it goes way back to actually when I was a kid. When I was a kid, my dad was with Union Carbide. And of course, Union Carbide was a big chemical company at the time. Now it's been all split off to Dow and others. So now we moved to Houston when I was 15. And of course, Houston is the hub of the chemical industry down there. When we were living down there in Houston, my dad was with Carbide and they were getting ready to transfer him to Connecticut in 1974. And I'm the oldest of seven. So there's seven kids, and I had just graduated high school. So that's when my dad said, well, I've moved the family around enough. And he went to work for a tank truck company, a company called Enterprise Transportation. And they're now part of Transport Service Company, but they were one of the large tank truck companies down there in Houston. And he worked for them for 36 years till he was 80 years old. So when I graduated college, I actually started working for Celanese. Celanese is a major chemical producer up in Dallas. So we moved up to Dallas. And I worked for them for 27 years. And then I worked for a spinoff for them, a company called Oxaya, for another 11 years. So I've been in the chemical industry pretty much my whole career. I've worked in the tank truck side of it, the rail, the marine, terminals, warehouses, transloading, et cetera. So it's kind of in my blood.
We have that in common, John. So
yeah.
I'm also second generation. My dad was roadway back in 1976 when he got in the business. So I think what happens is once you get into transportation, you don't get to leave. Has that been your experience so far?
Yeah, and it's exciting too. It's been a great career for one thing, and every day's different, right? There's always new challenges, new problems to solve, and it gave me a lot of good opportunities as well to move around a little bit, spend time in operations, spent time over in Europe. So it's been a fun ride.
That's a great segue about the problems that we try to solve in the industry. So tell me, John, what are some of the problems that JPR Logistics is solving for their clients?
Well, right now, most of my focus has been on the tank truck side of it, and capacity is extremely tight right now. There's a shortage of drivers out there. There was a lot of disruptions to the supply chain, and we had the big Texas freeze, which shut down a whole lot of production down there on the Gulf Coast. So with a chemical facility, you don't just flip a switch to turn it back on. So the supply chain got really disrupted. There's a shortage of, like I say, shortage of equipment. So people's raw materials aren't getting to the facilities on time. So with Bulk Connection, I've been trying to help these people get their product moved. Bulk Connection's a third-party non-asset broker that specializes in the bulk area. And one of the things that attracted me to them is their focus on safety. I've dealt with hazmat my entire career, and you really have to ensure that you're using safe, legal, competitive carriers. So that's really been my focus right now, is to try to help people get through some of these situations and try to help them move their freight.
What I love about this is how complicated hazmat is. So like, today we were talking about turning in a trailer, it is deactivating on our platform. Right. And it gets me thinking about like the processes for managing a fleet of tankers. How important are inspections and washouts in the tanker business?
Well, there's several things there. For one thing, clean, dry, and odor-free is definitely what you want. But you have, with the cleaning process, you got to make sure that it's clean, because you can have incompatible materials. So if you don't get a tanker that's clean and you top loaded something into it, For one thing, you could have 6,000 gallons of contaminated product that you have to dispose of, or you can actually have a reaction where if you get something that's not compatible with each other, you can have a violent reaction. So definitely from a safety perspective there and from a quality perspective. You have different types of washes. You have kosher washes that's required for certain food grade type materials and certain materials that go into the pharmaceutical industry, for example. But the inspection process is also really critical. You want to make sure that when that container or that truck leaves, that it's properly secured. The valves are shut, the valve tags are on it, everything's properly labeled, get the proper placards on it. You want to make sure that the tires are good, all the lights work, all the markings are good on the side of the trailer. But also, and a very critical part of shipping hazmat is making sure that all your documents match also. When you take a look at your bill of lading and it says you have, let's say butyl alcohol in there, does that trailer really have that product in it? So I've seen scenarios in the past where, let's say in a drop and hook scenario, where a carrier went in and they picked up the wrong trailer and didn't know they picked up the wrong trailer because they didn't do a proper inspection and wound up contaminating a storage tank at a customer's facility. So inspection is paramount, and safety, quality, right?
Absolutely. That's a good, interesting segue, because one of the things I used to deal with was we would repair trailers that were used for moving hazmat, not on the tanker side, but even if the truck or the asset was empty and you had the marker, the placard saying it had something in there, that's a massive violation. You can't do that. You have to always have the exact description of what's inside that vehicle at any given time.
Well, it's extremely important for first responders as well, right? Let's say that truck is involved in an accident and it's leaking on the side of the highway. Well, you want your first responders to be able to take out their binoculars if they have to and take a look at that placard number on there. And that will tell them what they're dealing with, whether it's a flammable, whether it's a corrosive. They can look at the UN number and know exactly what chemical is in there so that they know how to protect themselves and protect the public as well.
Absolutely. Now I'm getting some feedback here. I have to jump to my ad spot. So give me 1 second.
Sure.
And I'm just going to talk about our ad today. So we have a really, really good partner today for this program. So I'll go ahead and read the copy here. Today's program is brought to you by Brute Force, the leading provider of solutions to frustrating problems. What does it take to become an expert or master in a given field? According to Malcolm Gladwell, it's 10,000 hours of practice. But people don't have time to master everything. They have furniture to assemble, frozen lug nuts to remove, and boxes to carry. They use Brute Force. Brute Force can be useful for any event, any task, and at any time. Although Brute Force is available to everyone today, get our special program offer, a 4-week trial, a Brute Force themed hat, and a digital high five. If Brute Force doesn't solve your problem, you're probably not using enough. John, do you ever use Brute Force for anything?
I do. I've been known to twist off some lug nuts before.
I was going to say that.
By using too much Brute Force.
Absolutely. Got it. As long as people describe how long it takes, most people are willing to pay that extra time for removing those frozen lug nuts. So, obviously, you have a ton of knowledge in the processes for bulk transportation. How can people learn more about JPR Logistics?
Well, my website right now is currently under construction. So the best way to get a hold of me is go to my LinkedIn profile. You can see all my experiences there. There's also my email is there, my phone number is there. So please feel free to call me, contact me anyway, whether you're comfortable with an email, a Zoom call. I like Zoom calls or phone calls, whatever. Just feel free to give me a holler.
Absolutely. Now, with your partnership with Bulk Connection, how has that accelerated your business?
Well, it's interesting. They actually contacted me when I formed my little LLC, because last year I spent most of the year trying to find a full-time job, and of course in the middle of a pandemic, and
you and me both, my friend.
Yeah, with my age too, I'm realistic to know that I got a little frustrated and said, you know what, I got too many years experience to not be using it, so I formed my own LLC. They contacted me because of all the contacts that I have in the industry. So it's really broaden some of some of the services that I'm able to offer, because what's been happening is I've had other people through LinkedIn contact me and say, oh, okay, so you do this. I'm working on a reverse logistics project. Also work with another broker on truckload. I've been getting ready to move forward with a company that wants me to represent them for a TMS, transportation management
That's awesome.
system.
Absolutely. That's
So
fascinating.
I actually have to kind of be pick and choosy right now. But with Bulk Connection, the challenge I've been having there is I have to make sure and onboard the right type of customers. Because we're not for everybody. If you're a shipper that's going to low bid everything out there and want the lowest price for every shipment that you've got, we're not that type of carrier or that type of provider.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I could probably bring them 10 times more business than they can handle right now just because of the capacity issues. So
absolutely,
like I said, I have to make sure and onboard the right type of customers, stay in contact with them. And it's, I've reached out to a lot of other contacts that I've had in the industry. A lot of my Celanese and Oxide contacts are all over the place now. So it's been fun reconnecting with people.
Well, let's say that I have a fleet of tankers and I want to learn more about Bulk Connection. Where should I go?
Their website's great for one thing. They've got a really good website, a lot of information on there. They put out regular blogs on what's going on in the industry, but they also have excellent training materials. But if you were a carrier, for example, and you had some capacity and you wanted to use somebody like Bulk Connection, you can contact me and I'll put you in touch with the right people up there in Connecticut that can talk about being a carrier for Bulk Connection.
Absolutely. But well, John, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. If people want to learn more, we recommend to follow the LinkedIn notes we have here in the show notes. And at the end of the day, at vHub, we are solving problems every day to make sharing assets easier. Whether you rent, lease, or own, see how vHub can help streamline your business. Download our app or find out more at vhubapp.com. John, thank you so much for making time today. It's been a pleasure.
Same here. Enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Have a great day. Thanks again.
You too.
Bye.
All right.